I've always hated the dark. Not in the, oh, it's spooky way that people joke about when watching horror movies, but in a visceral, primal way. My chest gets tight, my skin feels too thin. It's like my body knows something my brain refuses to articulate, that the dark isn't just an absence of light, but a presence of something else. That fear is important because it explains everything I did that night. I was 16, a junior in high school, and it was the night of our winter formal. If you've ever been a teenage girl who pinned all her hopes on a single evening, you already know how this starts. I spent 3 weeks fighting a dress, a deep navy blue that I thought made me look older, sophisticated. I spent 2 hours curling my hair. I spent 40 minutes doing makeup that I hoped would make my date, a guy named Kyle from AP History, realize I was more than just the girl who sat behind him. It didn't work. By 10:30 p.m., I was standing near the punch bowl, my heels pinching my toes, watching Kyle slow dance with a sophomore named Jessica. He hadn't even broken up with me. He just drifted away, like a balloon losing helium, until he was suddenly in someone else's orbit. I didn't make a scene. I didn't throw a drink. I just felt that crushing, hot shame that starts in your stomach and rises to your cheeks. I told my friends I had a headache. I found a ride back to the house we'd all met up earlier to take photos, retrieved my car, and started the drive home alone. It was bitter cold, the kind of winter night where the air feels thin and sharp. My heater blasted, but I was shivering in my sleeveless dress. To make it worse, the radio decided to play a block of sad, slow ballads that felt personally targeted at my misery. I cried for the first 10 minutes of the drive, ugly, hiccuping sobs that smeared my mascara and made it hard to see the road. By the time I turned into my subdivision, the tears had stopped, replaced by a hollow exhaustion. I just wanted to be in my bed. I wanted to wash my face, put on oversized pajamas, and pretend this night had never happened. But as I drove deeper into my neighborhood, the old anxiety started to creep back in.
We live in one of those older suburbs where the trees have overgrown the streetlights. At night, the road is a tunnel of shadows. The houses are set back from the street, separated by large lawns and hedges that turn into black walls after sunset. It was quiet, too quiet. No other cars, no dog walkers, just rows of dark windows reflecting the moon. I checked the dashboard clock, 11:45 p.m. I had told my dad I'd be home by 1. He was strict about curfews, but he was also a heavy sleeper. The plan was simple: park in the driveway, sprint to the front door, unlock it before the dark could get to me, and slip inside. I turned into our driveway. The motion sensor light on the garage didn't snap on. It had been finicky for months, and of course, tonight of all nights, it chose to stay dead. The driveway was a black slab. The house loomed over it, silent and dark. I killed the engine. The silence rushed in, filling the car. I took a deep breath, gripped my keys in one hand and my phone in the other, and prepared myself. 1, 2, 3. I opened the door and ran. I moved fast. My heels clicked loudly on the concrete, a frantic rhythm in the stillness. The wind bit through my dress, freezing the tear tracks on my cheeks. I reached the front porch, breathless, and jammed my hand against the door handle. It didn't turn. I shoved it, rattled it, locked. Panic, cold and sharp, spiked in my chest. "No," I whispered. "No, no, no." I checked my phone. 11:47 p.m. I was early. Why was it locked? My dad usually left it unlocked until he went to bed, or at least left the key under the mat if he thought I'd be late. I dropped to my knees, ruining the hem of my dress on the rough brick, and felt under the mat. My fingers brushed against dead leaves and grit, searching for the cold metal of the spare key. Nothing. I lifted the mat, shaking it out. Nothing. I stood up, frustration warring with fear. I pressed my face against the narrow window next to the door. Inside, the entryway was pitch black. I couldn't see the stairs. I couldn't see if the alarm light was blinking. I rang the doorbell. Ding dong. The sound echoed inside, muffled by the heavy wood. I waited. Silence. My dad's bedroom was on the second floor, in the back of the house. He slept with the fan on loud. He slept like the dead. It was a running joke in our family. You could drive a tank through the living room and he wouldn't stir. But right now, it wasn't funny. It was terrifying. I rang it again and again. Ding dong, ding dong. "Come on," I hissed, leaning my forehead against the cold wood. "Wake up!" Nothing. I stepped back and looked at the house. It felt like a fortress now, designed to keep me out. The windows reflected the moonlight like blind eyes. I considered my options. The garage keypad. I ran over to the side of the garage door and punched in the code. Click. Whirr. Clunk. The door jerked up 2 inches and stopped. The motor groaned and died. The spring had been broken for weeks, another thing on the to-do list that hadn't gotten done. I grabbed the bottom of the door and tried to heave it up manually, but it was too heavy, locked in place by the broken mechanism. I tugged until my nails broke, but it wouldn't budge. I was trapped outside. The only other way inside was the back door, through the garage side door or the sliding glass door on the deck. To get to either of them, I would have to leave the relative safety of the front porch and walk around the side of the house. I looked toward the side yard. It was an abyss. The neighbor's fence cast a shadow so deep it looked solid. The gate to the backyard was old and rusty. It would screech when I opened it. And the backyard itself, it bordered a wooded creek. No lights, just trees and darkness. The thought of walking back there alone in the dark made my stomach turn over. I imagined what could be standing in the trees, watching the house. I imagined the sound of footsteps on the dead grass. I can't do it, I thought. I'll just wait here. I'll keep ringing the bell until he hears me. I turned back to the front door and started pounding on it with the side of my fist. Thud, thud, thud. Dad, I yelled. Not too loud. I didn't want to wake the neighbors and have them call the police, but loud enough to penetrate the house. Dad, open the door. I paused to listen.
That's when I heard it. A sound. Not from inside the house, from behind me. It was faint. The scrape of a shoe on concrete. I froze. My hand was still raised to knock, hovering inches from the wood. The sound came again, closer this time. A soft, shuffling step. I was standing on the porch, bathed in the shadows of the overhang. The driveway behind me was open, exposed. My car sat there, cooling in the night air. I slowly lowered my hand. I didn't want to turn around. Every instinct screamed at me to stay facing the door, to pretend I hadn't heard anything. But you can't pretend away a noise like that. I turned around. At first, I didn't see him. My eyes were straining against the gloom, trying to separate shapes from shadows. The driveway looked empty. The street looked empty. Then, movement. Near the trunk of my car, about 25 yards away at the end of the driveway, a shape detached itself from the darkness of the hedges. It was a man. He was standing perfectly still, watching me. He wasn't walking up the driveway. He wasn't walking past on the sidewalk. He was just standing there, planted, facing the house, facing me. I couldn't make out any details. He was just a silhouette, maybe 5'6" or 5'7", not tall, but solid. He wore dark clothes that blended into the night. No reflective jogging here, no dog leash in his hand. My heart hammered against my ribs so hard I thought he must be able to hear it. "Dad?" I called out, my voice trembling. It was a stupid hope. My dad was inside, asleep. I knew that. But I wanted the man to think I wasn't alone. I wanted him to think there was a large, angry father just behind the door. The man didn't move. He didn't react to the name. He just took a step forward. One step, onto the concrete of the driveway. I backed up until my spine hit the front door. I reached behind me and laid on the doorbell, pressing the button and holding it down. Buzz. A long, continuous plead for help. The man took another step. Then he spoke. "Are you okay?" The voice was muffled, low, but it wasn't threatening. It was soft, almost gentle. "Are you okay, sweetie?" That word.
Sweetie. It made my skin crawl. It wasn't the way a concerned neighbor says it. It was the way someone talks to a lost dog they're trying to lure closer. It was wet and cloying and wrong. It implied a familiarity that didn't exist. It was a mask. "I'm fine," I yelled, trying to sound fierce, trying to sound like I wasn't a 16-year-old girl in a prom dress shivering on a porch. "My dad is coming. He's right here." The man didn't stop. He took another step. He was past the rear bumper of my car now, moving up the driveway. "You seem upset," he said. His voice stayed level, eerily calm. "I heard you knocking. Is nobody home? Why don't you come down here? I can help you." "Go away," I screamed. "Leave me alone." I pounded on the door with both fists now. Bang, bang, bang. "Dad, wake up. Dad." The man kept coming. He wasn't rushing. He was sauntering. He moved like he had all the time in the world, like he knew exactly who was in the house and exactly how deeply they were sleeping. He was halfway up the driveway. "Don't be like that," he said. "I'm just trying to be nice. You look cold." I could see outlines now. A hooded jacket, jeans, hands at his sides. I needed to see his face. I needed to know who this was. I fumbled with my phone, my fingers shaking so bad I almost dropped it. I swiped up on the screen, hit the flashlight icon. The LED beam cut through the darkness, blindingly bright. I aimed it straight at him. The beam hit him. He wasn't looking at the ground. He was looking right at me. He had a pale, narrow face, eyes that looked black in the harsh light. He looked normal, boring, like someone you'd pass in a grocery store and never remember. The reaction was instant. He didn't shield his eyes. He didn't turn away. He snapped. "Don't you dare do that." His voice changed completely. The soft, sympathetic, sweetie tone was gone. This voice was a growl, rough, angry, violent. It was the voice of the thing hiding behind the mask. He lunged forward. Not a walk anymore, a run. He was sprinting toward the porch. I screamed, a high, terrified sound that tore my throat. I dropped the phone.
The light spun wildly, strobing against the brickwork. I turned to the door, grabbing the handle with both hands, shaking it, throwing my shoulder against the wood. "Dad! Dad!" I heard heavy boots hitting the concrete steps behind me. Thud, thud. He was on the porch. I squeezed my eyes shut, bracing for the hand on my shoulder, the grab, the pull. Click, clack. The deadbolt slid back. The door flew open. I fell backward into the hallway, landing on the rug. My dad stood there in his t-shirt and boxers, hair wild, a baseball bat in his hand. His eyes were wide, confused, terrified by my screaming. "What? What is it?" he shouted. I scrambled back, pointing at the open door. "He's there! He's right there!" My dad stepped onto the porch, raising the bat. "Hey!" he roared. "Get the hell out of here!" I looked past his legs. The porch was empty. But down the driveway, I saw the figure sprinting away. Not walking, running full tilt back toward the street, disappearing into the shadows of the hedge. The police arrived 10 minutes later. 2 cruisers, lights flashing, cutting through the dark neighborhood like a strobe light. I sat on the living room couch, wrapped in a blanket, shivering uncontrollably. My dad was talking to the officers at the door. I could hear his voice, angry, shaking slightly. "I didn't hear her," he was saying. "I didn't hear the bell until she started screaming. I thought she was in bed." One of the officers, a woman with a kind face, came over to sit with me. "Can you describe him?" she asked. I tried. I really tried. But all I had was pieces. "He was not tall," I said. "Maybe my height? 5'6", 5'8". He was near my car, so I could see the top of his head against the roofline. Clothing, dark, hoodie, jeans, face, pale. He looked normal, until I shined the light on him. I told her about the voice, the sweetie, the switch. She took notes, her expression tight. "You did the right thing," she said. Shining that light probably startled him. It broke his script. Predators rely on control.
You took it away for a second. They searched the neighborhood. They drove up and down the streets with their spotlights, sweeping the yards. They checked the backyard, the creek line, the neighbor's bushes. Nothing. He was gone. My dad came in and sat next to me after the police left. He looked older than he had that morning. He put his arm around me. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry I locked it." I looked out the window. Earlier, I pulled back. "What?" "Around 11:30, he said. "I woke up to get water. I looked out the front window. I saw a car in the driveway, and I saw someone standing by it. I thought it was you. I thought you were home early." My blood ran cold. "So I went back to bed," he said. "I figured you'd come in when you were ready. I locked the door out of habit before I went upstairs." "Dad," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "I wasn't home at 11:30. He stared at me. "I know," he said.
Now I know. He had seen the man. 30 minutes before I arrived. The man hadn't followed me home. He had been waiting. He had been standing in my driveway, next to where my car usually goes, waiting for me to come back. Waiting for the girl who lived there. Or maybe he didn't know who lived there. Maybe he just saw a dark house and a quiet street. But the way he spoke, "Are you okay, sweetie?" He knew I was a girl. He knew I was vulnerable. That night, I slept in my parents' room, on the floor, with the door locked. I didn't sleep, really. I lay there listening to the wind, listening for the sound of a footstep on the porch. I'm 20 now. I live in a dorm with card access and security cameras. But I still check the locks 3 times before I sleep. And I still hate the dark. Because the dark isn't empty. Sometimes it talks back.